Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm glad you could all make it. Glad to see new faces, old faces alike. Let's go ahead and kick off here with a land acknowledgement. So I'd just like to acknowledge that I'm not on settled land. Where I am specifically in Pontiac is the homeland of the Odawa, the Anishinaabe Ojibwe, the Huron-Wendat, and the Potawatomi Native American nations, which was taken away by Governor William Hull in 1807. So let's get started. For anyone brand new, what is Sunday Assembly? So Sunday Assembly Detroit is a secular congregation that meets to hear great talks, sing songs, and generally celebrate the wonder of life. It's a service for anyone who wants to live better, help often, and wonder more. Alrighty, well, I hope everyone enjoyed that. So next up is Life Happens. If you don't know what that is, it's where we share something that has happened to us in the past month since our last assembly. It could be something at work, something that made us angry, something that made us sad, something that made us happy. If you have something to share, go ahead and raise your hand in the participants window, and then I will call on you. You can unmute yourself and share. I will go first. At work, I had another coworker test positive for COVID, which meant that we had to all go home and quarantine. But it's actually a silver lining to this because I did not have to be at work this past week, and I could just stay at home and refresh my phone every 2 seconds to check election results, which was great for me, personally speaking. So a real silver lining there with that one. And as far as I know, I don't have COVID, but still waiting on results. So who knows? Little mystery. All right, Austin and Victoria, go ahead and share, and then Alex and Jessica.
Yeah, it wasn't me this time. And the good news is, since I was in quarantine when my other coworker got sick, I can go back to work. So I've been cleared now. I'll mostly all better.
Yay. Can you taste again?
Yes, I can taste, I can smell. I still have a cough and I still get tired when I do a lot of activity. But I was able to go on a long walk yesterday and enjoy the 70-degree weather, so that was great.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm all moved in. See, this is the living room of my new place. So it's not huge, but maybe when we can come back to in person, we might be able to host some small wine with Teds or something like that. So
Awesome. Glad to hear that. I love the counts. All right, Alex and Jessica. Well, I guess just Alex.
So I had my court date to legally change my name October 23rd. So my name is Alex Louisbrand now officially, except that I'm still waiting to get the court order. So I can't actually change it anywhere until I get that. So, but I'm really excited.
So exciting. I'll have to talk to you about that because I've wanted to do it, but it seems like a real hassle. So
it was a lot easier than I thought it would be, especially considering like the pandemic and all, because there's a lot. You have to get fingerprinted, you have to get a background check. It all has to happen on a certain time frame, but it all worked out.
I'm so happy. Yep. Awesome. Okay, Anthony, go for it.
There it is. All right. All right. So yeah, I'm actually working at home too again. I was I was working at home for like 3 months, and then when the state of Michigan said, well, maybe you should try it, and my company jumped all over that for whatever reason, despite the fact that I literally do not need to be in the office at all. They, for whatever reason, still said, well, it's a morale issue, so we should all come back and whatever. So now back working from home, and yes, it was nice enjoying last week's 70+ degree weather, taking my dog for a walk and doing everything, but I'm still working. So I'm not, I'm not cheating the system or anything like that. Okay. But it is important to stay safe, and I'm glad that everybody's healthy as can be.
Awesome. Yes. Glad everyone could enjoy the weather. I could not because I'm being quarantined, but I will live vicariously through you. Okay, Sean. Yes, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that Sunday Assembly East Bay last month with the co-founder of Satanic Temple went great, and so happy to see some of you that are with us here joining us East Bay last month. Thank you very much.
Yes, I heard that was amazing. I was out of town last month, of course, but so glad that went well. It sounded incredible. All right. Anyone else before we move on? Oh, Greg, go ahead. I see your hand there.
Everybody, I've been not working at home, but I guess that's what they call retirement. And in over a half a century on this planet, I never felt as relieved after an election. I didn't even realize the kind of constant load that having just bullshit flowing. So I'm looking forward to an age where just saying something doesn't make it true. So, it's a relief. And I've been enjoying that great weather, so.
Totally know what you mean. I didn't even realize how much stress I had until it was called and it like all flowed off me. And I was like, oh, I feel like 20 pounds lighter. Oh, Judith, there's your hand. Go ahead.
Mute myself. Yeah, I've just been enjoying kind of walking in the woods with my dog. Quite autumnal here, and really nice to be out and about. Just had some major surgery last month, so I'm getting better now. So yeah, it's really good. So yeah, it's nice. The fungus is all out, and I'm really interested in fungus. And we do a little litter pick when we go out as well. So yeah, it's been nice to get back to some semblance of normal.
That sounds so great. I was just talking to my partner about how I want to start growing my own mushrooms this winter inside, because I also really love fungus, but don't have enough around me, so have to make my own.
We'd be up to here in rubbish if we didn't have fungus. So fungus is really important for rotting things down and decaying.
Yes. So I'll hand it over to Derek now. I'll stop sharing so he can go ahead and start.
Let's see here. Hi, I am Derek, and I am going to talk to you about pinball today. Let's see if we can make this work. There it is. Is that showing up for everyone? Awesome. So I'm going to be hosting a little talk called Anyone Can Play Pinball. That includes you, that includes your mother, that includes your children, your family, your cousins, your brothers, strangers on the street. Anyone can play pinball, but oh boy, it is scary. Oh dear. There we are. So hi, my name is Derek. That's me right there. And I like pinball a lot. And tonight, we're just gonna, hang on. Today, there we go. Today, I'm gonna teach you a few simple things that will help you better understand and enjoy pinball, a game that has existed for nearly 100 years. Here we are. So a little bit about me. I've been playing pinball for 30 years. I host 4 fun competitions focused on skill building and community in Michigan. I'm currently working on an original table that will be coming out hopefully in 2022. If everything goes according to plan. I have heard literally every Tommy joke that you are thinking of. It's actually the only time I'm gonna mention Tommy because like CJ said, yeah, actually, maybe not a great song. And until earlier this year, I held the highest ranked score in the world for 24 pinball. Yes, seriously. It was taken from me earlier this year and I have not been able to get back to an arcade to take it back. So right off the top, what makes pinball special? Why pinball? Why not video games? Why not Cow Clicker? Why not Farmville? Why not Parcheesi? Why not Settlers of Catan? Why not puzzles? Unlike video games, its closest analog, pinball is unique. There's no computer working against you. There are not 100 soldiers being controlled by a CPU that want to take you down. There is not a computer managing which Tetris piece you're going to get next. There is no one saying, okay, well, you're going to attack the monster. I'm going to do this die roll for you. Pinball is you and gravity and no one else. when you succeed at pinball, it is entirely on your own merit. When you fail at pinball, it is because the machine is out to get you. It's not your fault. It's rigged. It is you versus the machine. And it sets up, I think, a form of conflict that doesn't exist in any other kind of game. That said, a lot of people say, well, pinball, like, cool, the points go up. I want the biggest number, right? Like that's how I get good at pinball. And that is, I think, maybe the single biggest thing pinball fails to explain to new players, to even intermediate players, and some like skilled players will not recognize. Pinball tells stories. Pinball, ostensibly, yes, you can want the highest score possible. You can want to put your initials in the machine at the end of the game. But what I think makes pinball so compelling is that when you start a game of pinball, think of it as the start of a novel, the start of a movie. The whole world is laid out before you, and you have an adventure to go on. And I want to talk about a couple small examples before we move forward. So there's more to pinball than just getting points. You might be investigating the paranormal. You might be catching ghosts. You might be turning the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man into s'mores. You might be really happy to see Harold Ramis again. You might be in Tron. You might be trying to find your dad. You might be on a high-speed light cycle race. You might be trying to find your way home. Or maybe you are a simple, humble, tiny, hairy-footed Elijah Woods tasked with destroying the One Ring while the fate of an entire continent hangs in the balance. Let's actually talk about Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, the pinball table, was released shortly after the third movie, so it's a little bit older now, but it's still very, very good, and it's a great example of how pinball tells the story. I assume, I'm going to operate that many of you understand the core conflict in Lord of the Rings. When you start a table, the first thing you have to do is assemble the fellowship. You can see in this picture here, there are 9 lights representing the 9 members of the fellowship. When you start that game, they will all be dark. You will need to, the very first thing out the gate, assemble the fellowship. You'll do that by performing 9 unique tasks. In this case, 9 special shots. Every member of the fellowship has a shot on the playfield that will turn them on. Once you collect them, they're with you now, and you can work towards collecting everyone. And when you do, a quick trip to the Mines of Moria will start your first multi-ball. Lord of the Rings is a game built around its multi-balls. Each one represents one of the 3 books or the 3 movies, whichever you enjoy more. You've got your fellowship, you're deep in the mines. We all know what comes next, the Balrog. The Balrog is actually not on the playfield for the majority of the game. It is only when you are in the Fellowship of the Ring multi-ball that he comes out. You will need to repeatedly bash him with your steel pinballs and help the Fellowship flee out of the mines to complete this mode. And a mode is a chapter. Think of it as one part of a larger story. After you successfully flee the Balrog, which you may or may not accomplish. Sometimes you may not complete a chapter your first time through. That's fine. You can do it again. You can start it again. You'll just need to reassemble the fellowship because all of those lights have now turned off. Once you defeat the Balrog, you are now one step closer to defeating Sauron. As you can see, there are 3 lights here representing the 3 different books or movies. When you complete one of those multi-balls, it lights up. Once you finish all 3, you can move on to the game's final conflict, destroying the ring. This is maybe one of the most tense moments in all of pinball. You have 1 ball, 1 shot to make several difficult shots on the playfield to slowly wrest control of the ring from Gollum, knock him into Mount Doom, and finally destroy the ring itself. And when you do, that's where you get your big points. I have destroyed the ring exactly twice in probably 2,000 games of Lord of the Rings. It is incredibly difficult. And when you do it, nothing feels better. So yeah, that sounds super easy, right? Just make 9 shots, do a multi-ball, kill a Balrog, assemble the army of the dead, and, you know, defend the armies of Sauron. Simple. No. Where do I even start with pinball? How do I even approach learning pinball? And there are 2 major things that if you walk away from this knowing these 2 things, you will be on your way. The first is the anatomy of pinball. I'm just going to detail a couple different things of what you will see on a table, and then I will help you learn how to interact with those things and get better. So right off the top, there is the plunger. Many of you know what a pinball machine is. The plunger is a spring-loaded rod, which will traditionally be near your right hand on the front of the cabinet, and the more you pull, the more you get. I had a video, but the videos are not working. It's okay, you're not missing anything. However, sometimes the plunger may look different. The plunger may look like a gear shift. The plunger may just be a button in the case of Rick and Morty, and sometimes the plunger looks like Shrek. I don't know why. It's very frightening. Flippers. This is what makes pinball different from pachinko, and this is also what makes it legal in the eyes of the US government. It wasn't until flippers were added in the early 40s that the United States government said, oh, actually, maybe this isn't gambling. Maybe we don't need to destroy these. Something that I won't be touching on, but I think is really fun, is how inexorably linked pinball is with prohibition and bootlegging. It's a really fun Wikipedia read that I think if you are interested in it at all, you would get a better read than you would have me just regurgitating the information to you. The flippers will be on your left and right side, very close to your body. And when you press the button, the flipper activates. As long as you are holding the button down, the flipper will stay up. So a quick tap will go up and down. A tap and hold will activate the flipper and keep it raised. Ramps. Ramps are, think like skateboards, think like bikes, think like escalators. They are an elevated path that takes the ball somewhere else. Usually, if you make that ramp, it's going to take it very safely somewhere else. There are tables where it doesn't, but don't worry. Those are very uncommon. Think of them as like a roller coaster for your ball. When you make that ramp, it's going to go up, it'll ride around a metal or plastic trail and come out somewhere else. And what's nice about ramps is it gives you, the player, half a second to breathe and go, okay, for this half a second, I don't have to worry about where the ball is. It's going to come somewhere. I know where it's going to come because I'm looking at it. I can take a breath. Ramp returns. This is why ramps are safe. Ramps will traditionally, as you can see, the green metal path going past Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones here, will return the ball to your flipper. So think of it as risk and reward. If you make that ramp shot, it's going to come back to your flipper and it is going to put you back into control. If you make that ramp shot, it goes halfway up, doesn't make it and comes back, oh boy, the ball is wild. You are not in for a pleasant experience. Bumpers. Bumpers introduce randomness into pinball. They pretty much always look like these weird little mushrooms. They have a small electromechanical arc around them that detects when a ball is near. When a ball is near, it activates and shunts the ball in a seemingly random direction, though bumpers can be managed with math. So anytime anyone told you that you didn't need to worry about geometry or algebra in high school, trust me, this is actually a place where that comes up. Slingshots. These are just like bumpers, except they live on top of the flippers. If there wasn't anything to introduce danger when the ball was headed back towards you, pinball would be very easy. So these shields that live above the flippers will activate in the same way that bumpers do, and they act as a way to impede you from being able to do what you want. They add randomness, they add opportunities for skilled play, but usually they just add frustration. These will be some of your largest enemies as you learn to play pinball. And toys. Toys is any game feature that makes you go, whoa, that was cool, what? And distract you from the fact that the ball is now coming back at you at 60 miles an hour. This is a toy from the Addams Family pinball machine, in which the hand of Thing is hidden for the entire game until you get it in his little shot. The hand will come out, take the ball, and go back in his house, and will send it back out somewhere else. It's a treat. One of my favorite things is the first time a person who has never seen Thing sees Thing. Another toy is this large 3D castle in Medieval Madness. In Medieval Madness, the entire process and story of this game is you want to storm the castle, you want to defeat the corrupt kings, knights, noblemen, and dukes, and you'll do that by lowering the drawbridge, which is a mechanical piece that will go up and down. You'll need to bash down the drawbridge. You'll need to bash the gate several times just to be able to gain entrance. And finally, once all that's completed, storm the castle, defeat the knights, and then do it all over again because you have to do it 6 times. Another fantastic toy is the functional gumball machine in Twilight Zone. This is one that is tied very heavily to the game's theme and as well as its game mechanics. This is a death trap toy. You will look at this, you will think it is the coolest thing on earth. The toy will keep doing things even after it has sent your ball somewhere else and has released it back onto the field. The gumball machine is a trick. It wants you to look at it, so when it puts your ball somewhere else, you go, oh, oh no, well, I lost that one. And of course, in Jurassic Park, he just eats it. He just eats your ball. It's gone now. It's his. Yeah, that's cool, Derek. You didn't answer my question. How do I get good at pinball? Where do I even start? This is the single most important skill in pinball. You can tell it's important because we have the trumpets. They are heralding the coming of this information. Patience. Patience. Pinball wants you to play very fast. We're actually going to go back to patience. Pinball wants you to go at its pace. Pinball wants you to get flustered. It wants you to get scared. It wants you to get frustrated. It wants you to lose your composure. If you can keep calm, if you can stay patient, if you can stay collected, you are already doing things the machine hates. And how we use patience is going to be used in this little mnemonic device that we call the SLAM method. There would have been a great animation here, but I can't make it work. SLAM is an acronym for slow down, lock up, assess, make your shot. Slow down. I touched on this during patience. Pinball is explicitly designed to bully you. Pinball wants you to go at its speed, not yours. Remember, you have to put $1 in every time you play a game of pinball. Whichever bar, bowling alley, arcade, barber shop, laundromat that you're at, I've never seen pinball at a barber shop. I'm sorry, that was a fib. They want you to fail. They want you to lose because you will put in another $1 and they will get another $1 from you. Pinball is explicitly designed to take your money. It wants to fluster you. It wants to make you panic. It wants you to make mistakes. You're a human. It's a machine. It doesn't get to decide. You decide. It doesn't set the speed. You set the speed. The game can't punish you for playing at the pace that you want. It will punish you for playing at the pace it wants. You're in control. Tell the game how you want to play. I don't know why I had 2 slides for this. I just kind of covered this. Lock up. This is the single most useful trick I can teach you. If you walk away from this with one thing, I hope it's that pinball tells stories, because pinball stories are cool. If you walk away from this with 2 things, the flipper trap is the most useful skill that you can possibly have in pinball. Like I said, with the flipper button, if you tap it, it will go up, it will come back down. If you hold it, it will come up and it will stay up. So if, like you can see here, Leonardo has the pinball trapped. By holding that flipper up, you can lock the ball in place. It has nowhere to go. It has no momentum, no energy, no vector for escape. As long as you are holding that button and keeping that ball in place, you have all the time in the world. You can get a drink, you can look at the table, you can talk to your friends, you can have a cigarette if you want to, and the arcade allows that. I don't, but you could. I'm not going to judge you. This is your opportunity to go, hey, all right, what do I want to do? What's next? How can I control this game best? A lot of times you won't know what is next. What does the game want you to do? This is one of the things that pinball does teach you. Usually there are lots and lots and lots of lights. Some of them are lit, some of them are blinking, some of them are off. While you have the ball locked up, look at the playfield. Look at what's lit, look at what's blinking, look at what's not lit. Usually there's a computer monitor in the back box that will tell you what the game would like you to do next. There are also audio cues that it will tell you. Sometimes it will say to shoot a specific shot or aim for this to advance towards your next mode. The game will communicate to you what it wants you to be doing. It's just very difficult to take all that information in while a ball is whizzing around the table and you are focused on, oh gosh, how do I keep this alive? Look, listen, learn. And the nice thing about pinball is once you understand what the game wants, you don't need to think about that on subsequent plays. If you know in Lord of the Rings, the very first thing you need to do is collect Frodo, you'll have to learn that one time. And after that, you will know every time I start the game, I should probably go after that Frodo shot. And finally, make the shot. It's time to go for it. This is the scariest part of life. I mean, the game. You're gonna need to just say, all right, I'm going to abandon my safety and I'm going to try and accomplish the thing I want to accomplish. You need to make your shot. You have all the preparation in the world. It might work, it might not. If it works, amazing. What you want to do now is focus on getting control of the ball again and doing this again. If it doesn't work, you know what? You learned something. You walked away from that experience with, well, what I tried didn't work. How can I do it better next time? Failing is part of the process of pinball. No one got good at pinball in 1 day or 2 days or 1 week or 1 month, not even Tommy. It's normal to feel frustrated. It's normal to have sessions where you go, wow, that I was terrible. It is normal to say, oh boy, that was a waste of money. Michigan is in a spot where we have reopened some arcades finally, and I have gone without playing pinball for about 6 months. I snuck out to an arcade. They distanced all their tables, gloves mandatory, masks mandatory, and I said, all right, it's my time. I'm gonna get back in there. And I did awful, just terrible. It was frustrating. It was demoralizing. I had a bad time playing pinball, something I love. And I said, you know what? It's fine. It's rust. I haven't played pinball in 6 months. How could I expect to play at the level that I was playing at? It might take a while to get back to where I was, but I will get there because I will keep trying. And pinball is like life. Control what you can, prepare for what you can't. Do your best when things go wrong, and always, always, always keep trying. We do have time for some questions and answers. If you are ready to go get some practice, there are a couple locations in Michigan, and also I didn't realize we would have some out of country and out of state folks, so I added a couple in there. If you're in Michigan, the arcade in Brighton is fantastic. It is a pay one price, play all day location. Marvelous Marvin's Mechanical Museum in Farmington Hills is an amazing piece of history for both coin-operated games and Michigan history. It's been there for nearly 40 years, and I think it's a place that everyone in Michigan should visit at least once. The Arcade Club in England is currently closed, so actually don't go to that one. Just bank that for later. And the Pacific Pinball Museum in Alameda, I believe, is open, but you should absolutely call in advance. If you want to learn more, papa.org is a fantastic resource, and Papa Pinball on YouTube has great video tutorials. If anyone has any questions, I would be more than happy to do my best to answer them poorly.
Yeah, go ahead and put them in the chat if you have any questions, and I will be your little moderator asking them. I didn't say this at the top, but secretly my reason for inviting Derek is so I can go to his next pinball tournament and do well, or at least not completely fail. So this was just a little private lesson for me that you all got to sit in on. Okay, let's see. Ooh, Derek, have you been to the Pinball Museum in Las Vegas?
I have not. It is a location I do want to get to. It is a location that if you like pinball and you are in or near Las Vegas, it is one of the best. It's extremely well maintained, a very diverse library across all of pinball. It is a venue that is absolutely worth going to. And when I make it out to Vegas, it will be where I spend most of my time.
A question from me, are some tables like made for beginners and some more advanced, or are they all just kind of?
Yes, there are some tables that are more approachable to beginning players. One that immediately leaps to mind is the recent 2020 release Hot Wheels. If you enjoyed playing with cars, now you can play with cars in pinball. Hot Wheels was designed really, really well to be approachable to anyone. If you have zero pinball skill, the game is here for you. It will not punish you. If you are extremely good at pinball, the game has a deep rule set that will allow you to get the most of your skill. Another approachable table for beginners, this is such an odd decision. The James Bond pinball table for GoldenEye, when you start your game, will allow you to choose between a 3-ball game or 5 minutes of guaranteed playtime. If you want to play normally, you can pick 3 balls. You might get more than 5 minutes, you might not. With the 5-minute mode, you will get 5 minutes guaranteed. Anytime you drain, it will relaunch your ball for free. After those 5 minutes end, your next drain will end your game.
Oh, wow. That sounds nice. Okay, Judith wants to know, do you prefer the old style pinball tables or the newer ones?
So when I started playing pinball when I was younger, we were already past the electromechanical era, the ones that were, bells and bongs and rolling scores. I am more partial to modern pinball, so it's that's where I have a lot of my knowledge. But I appreciate the history of pinball, but it's definitely not. If you put 2 in front of me, I'm always going to go for the modern table.
Cool. Austin and Victoria were wondering if you could tell us more about the table you're working to create.
Yes, yes, I can. Hang on, what can I tell you about the table? We're currently working on securing a license, which will involve talking to a movie company and several actors to make this happen. It's a dead movie, it's a dead license. We're hoping we can get it very cheap, but right now, the nice thing about making your own table is you don't have to ask for permission until you sell it. So we are making one prototype that they can't sue us for. And once we have something functional, we will begin the licensing process. What we are making is a pinball player's pinball table. We are setting out to make a table for people who are pinball enthusiasts. So this is unfortunately not going to be a beginner-friendly pinball table, but it is something that we have a lot of fun ideas to force the idea of pinball forward.
That's very cryptic.
It's based on a movie from 1995.
Well, I definitely remember it because I was 1 year old.
1 year, yeah,
Real movie
fantastic.
buff back then.
I apologize. That is, there's not a lot I can say about it at this time.
It's fine. We'll watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space for our table about computers and cyberpunk.
Alrighty. Austin would like to know, for all the money you've spent playing pinball, and I think I know the answer to this, have you considered buying these official tables?
Yes, yes, several times. I have sat down and said, all right, Derek, let's just get that table. Oh, wow, these are $8,000. I have come very close to buying a pinball machine several times, and I always get cold feet when it comes time to write the check. It's a whole lot of money to buy a table.
But then you could host the tournaments in your own home.
That is true. That is true. I could host it myself, but that would take a while, just qualifying alone.
If we all put in
Okay.
$20.
If everyone puts in $20, I will give you my garage door code. You can come over whenever you want. I'll show you where the switch is. You can just turn it on. Just lock the door on your way out. We're good. I'll keep the fridge stocked with water and Pepsi.
I think that's what socialism is, actually, if you read
Oh,
Marx.
well, all right. Okay. Welcome to my socialist arcade. I guess if we're going full socialism, I'll keep Coke in there too. Mug root beer. Let me know what soda you want in the fridge and I will make sure that it is stocked.
This is the future liberals want. Okay. Oh yeah, Judith mentioned, is maintaining and repairing pinball machines costly?
It can be. This is a great question. Thank you so much for asking it. Something that a lot of people don't consider with pinball is, think about your video games that you have at home. Think about your PlayStation, think about your Xbox. It pretty much just works. You put the disc in, the game goes brrr, and then you're playing. Pinball is actually kind of like a car. Every pinball machine has over a mile of wire inside and several dozen explicit mechanical parts, each of which that can fail for seemingly no reason at all. Some days you will turn your machine on and one of the flippers just won't work. Part of pinball maintenance is, just like you have to replace your tires every couple years or every decade if you're me, you'll want to replace all of the rubbers, which is anything that the ball impacts usually has a rubber coating on it. Rubber cracks, rubber dries out, rubber breaks. And once that rubber breaks, it is no longer protecting whatever is behind it. And then you are slamming metal ball bearings into pieces of your table that do not have a sufficient layer of protection. And then things start breaking.
Okay, so very expensive then.
Yeah, it's maintaining pinball is honestly a lot of fun until a really difficult to replace part breaks, and then your Doctor Who table is just dead forever.
Well, great question from Sean. How do you feel about shaking the table?
So I have a whole bunch of notes from when I wrote this, and then I started cutting things that I didn't think were 100% necessary. So you can see all the scratch outs on here. Tilting, it's okay. Beat the heck out of the machine. They are built to be abused, and pinball tables are explicitly designed to be shaken. It is built into the game's rules, and it is built into the geometry of the game that they understand that you are going to be shaking this table. You are going to be hitting the sides. You are going to be nudging it. it does have mechanical tools to say, hold on, now that's a little too much. Don't hit it that hard. But pinball is built with the understanding that you will be hitting it. Tilting the machine is absolutely fine. If you're not tilting, you're not playing right.
That is great to know. As an oldest born child and inherent rule follower, I would have assumed I couldn't and been very nervous about it. So, great question. Victor wants to know, have you had to resort to 3D printed parts for any pinball machines?
Yes, that is something that is kind of coming into its own now in the pinball community. That there are specifically Doctor Who, a table that I just mentioned, which if you ever have the opportunity to play a Doctor Who, it is worth the dollar. It is a fantastically cool table. Doctor Who is a very, very old table. It is actually from the mid-'80s. They don't make replacement parts for these games anymore. They don't make replacement mechanicals for these games anymore. A lot of these pieces, especially the plastic pieces, are breaking, and you are either paying a ridiculous markup to someone who saw the writing on the wall and bought out the remaining stock of a particular part, or we're starting to see people say, well, all right, I have one. Let's do our best to make a 3D printed replacement part and see what we can do. 3D printed parts have been going on for about 2 years in the pinball community. They were met with intense revulsion when the idea was first floated. Well, no, if it's not 100% genuine parts, it's not real pinball. And then people realized, oh boy, yeah, no, that means my table's just dead. It's not 100% there yet. It is definitely still a fledgling endeavor. It's still a work in progress, but it has made a lot of progress.
Cool. I know someone mentioned earlier that the Shrek head is probably going to need its little ears replaced a lot for the plunger, I imagine.
You know what? That's fine. We have, anytime you see a Shrek head, you have my permission to destroy it. That thing is terrifying.
Awesome.
Please don't. Please don't. Actually, the Shrek head is part of a limited edition version of the Shrek pinball table. Oh yeah, there's limited versions of these tables too. A great thing about Shrek is when you put in your dollar, you get to hear All Star for free. The limited tables are built to be extremely robust, and because you are spending several more thousands of dollars on a limited variant of a table, traditionally they are considered home use only tables. They're not tables that you'll see at the arcade. They're not tables that you will see at the bowling alley or movie theater. So when you see that Shrek head, it is usually in someone's house. And when you're playing in someone's house, you're a little more gentle.
It's the bourgeoisie Shrek.
Yes, yes. And that's why Shrek must be destroyed.
Okay, awesome. Looks like the questions are kind of dying down.
Fantastic.
Here. If you want to go ahead and stop sharing your screen.
I can do that. I am more than happy to stop. So again, thank you for this opportunity. And I hope that you're excited for pinball or that you understand it a little more. And if you can't apply the lessons to pinball, you can always apply the lessons to life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor. All right, let me get back to my screen here. All right, we did questions. So now it's time for me to do announcements.
Well, if me being generous is a problem, then lock me up. I might.
So that's just a fun clip to remind you to donate to Sunday Assembly. I won't lock you up. And it's, as long as you don't commit tax fraud, neither will the IRS. For that, they might lock you up for other reasons. I can't speak to that. But if you go to our website, sundayassemblydetroit.org, it's very easy to set up monthly donations through PayPal. I do it because I forget everything. And then I just get an email once a month that thanks me. And I'm like, wow, you're welcome. I forgot I did that. So you could also forget and get a nice thank you email once a month. Here are some things that are coming up. We have Wine with Ted on the third Thursday every month, 7 p.m. The videos we're going to watch this month are 7 Ways Games Reward the Brain and the Transformative Power of Video Games. So if you want to hear those, discuss them, jump on Zoom then. We also have a knowledge sharing session coming up. I don't know where John is on the screen. John's going to be leading that one for the Anishinaabe Rituals and Secular Life. That's November 21st at 7 p.m. And, oh, I don't know why that one slides, but that's fun. We have our book club coming up. The date's not on here, but if you go to our Meetup or Facebook, it's on there, you can see we're doing Native American lessons. So we're gonna be hearing some more from the poet that we heard from earlier and some other things that we have picked out here. And we have meetings, so many meetings every month that we all do. We have the assembly committee meeting. So if you want any say in how this runs, if you have feedback on how I did as a host, tell me to my face at the assembly committee meeting. I'll be there. We also have a leadership meeting if you want to take part in leadership. We have the Help Often committee. A very cool person runs that, who is me. So if you want any say in the volunteering projects that we do through Sunday Assembly, hop in on that one. And right after that, very same day, same time, same place, is the social media committee. So if you have great ideas for Instagram or some cool hashtags you know about, jump on in that meeting. Last but not least, this is technically next month, but we have the LGBT small group where you can hang out with me and Alex and Jessica and other cool people to decide what we're going to be doing for the LGBT small group.